What secret did you find out about someone that permanently changed the way you looked at them? I just found out yesterday that my wife, 29, a teacher, started an affair with a student, 18, of hers about 2 months ago. We have been together for 10 years and married for 4. We have a 4-month-old daughter, and she threw it all away: career, marriage, and family. I had no idea anything was wrong until 6 days ago when I found her crying in bed and she told me she was depressed, no longer in love with me, and suicidal mostly because of my drinking habits. I took sole responsibility, swore off drinking, and had us signed up for marriage counseling the same day, plus got her in contact with a postpartum depression group. 6 days later she is sent to a crisis center by her school and I find out everything after the psychiatrist there makes her tell me the truth when I show up to bring her home. My life is so fucked right now that I can't even sleep, and I'm holding a 4-month-old baby trying not to cry while her cheating mother is 5 miles away in a hospital room. Safe to say I will never see my wife the same way again. Had a work friend back in the day. His wife was really mean to him. She always would tell me his kids hate him, even though they would run to the door excited when their daddy was home. And when she was really mad at him, she would flip out and say that he fucked his sister and fucked a pig. He would just ignore her and not say anything back. Now I just ignored it because she would always try and make him look bad when she was mad at him. Well, one night we were drinking and he was pretty drunk. His wife got mad and did it again, but this time the heated exchange went like this: "You fucked your sister and you fucked a pig once." Long pause. "You know what? Fuck you. That shit happened like 3 years ago. You need to just drop it and move on. I don't deserve to have it rubbed in my face all the time." Then I realized why she held such resentment towards him, and I noped the fuck out of there and never talked to them again. I feel so bad for their kids. It was a really dysfunctional situation for them. Luckily I heard they aren't together anymore. That is not how I thought the story was going to end. Yeah, I was expecting the pig to come in demanding child support. There is an engineering professional at my workplace that likes to wear pricey articles of clothing. He even sports a Breitling wristwatch, priced from $3,000 to over $17,000, as his work timepiece. Turns out that he and his wife are buried beneath a mountain of credit card debt, and while I do not look down my nose at him, I definitely view his attire and accessories differently knowing that fact. I had a seemingly innocent friend who normally kept to herself about her issues. Then one day she told us that she couldn't tell if she had a sore throat because she was sick or because she swallowed too much cum the other night. That was the only thing I associated her name with afterwards. When I got to uni at 18, I ran into a girl I was in school with when we were 11. We caught up regularly, and one day she told me, very nonchalantly, about how the previous night she had engaged in sexual acts with a car full of guys in exchange for weed. I was a bit stunned, mainly because it's so easy to find weed in that town. In my early days as a lawyer, I represented a sweet old widower with Parkinson's disease who was being sued by a local store for groceries his late wife had purchased on credit without ever paying for. I felt awful for him. And then, shortly before trial, I found out he'd done jail time for molesting children. A family member's ex-wife of several years whom I was still close with asked me never to leave my daughter alone with my relative. She said that the reason they never had kids was that he confided when incredibly drunk that he had uncontrollable desires towards really young girls. He was upset and told her he felt he was evil and deserved to die. She asked him if he ever did anything and he said no, and asked her to forgive him and asked God to make him better. Again he was like blackout intoxicated. This was surprising information. She didn't tell me in spite and actually still loves him very much. I haven't heard or seen evidence of grooming or any extra attention paid to any of the female children in my family. He could have just been really drunk and out of his mind, but there is zero way I'm going to leave my daughter alone with him, or let her out of my sight at family functions. I don't have evidence that what she said was true, so I can't really do anything with the information other than be diligent. My wife, a defense attorney, has a work colleague who is the biggest a-hole you will ever meet. A blowhard who revels in winning at any cost and brags about the snarky things he does to really twist the knife. He's known as a sharp legal mind, but I get the sense that he likes to try to screw weaker ADAs or other counselors and loves it when he catches them in some technicality. He makes all those stereotypes about lawyers seem valid. My church had a sort of Habitat for Humanity-esque service weekend where we were rehabbing an old warehouse into a new space as a temporary women's shelter for battered women. The offices were already up, but the individual rooms needed to be refloored, the bathrooms retiled, sheetrock needed to be hung and primed. To my surprise, I saw the a-hole there with a tool belt helping to install a sink. Long story short, he donates his legal services to that one shelter, helping to set up restraining orders, divorces, custody, etc. for abused women trying to get away from their abusive partner's family. At first I wondered if this was some sort of court-ordered community service. It wouldn't surprise me if he had done something to deserve it, and then pissed off a judge somewhere. But no, the coordinator for the shelter who was working with my church says that he had been doing that for the past few years. Apparently his wife's previous husband was an abuser, and he has a real heart for people in that situation. I don't know if that's really a secret, but my wife didn't know about it, and didn't believe me when I told her. He obviously doesn't brag about it, which is something I thought he would totally do. I had an ex, he was one of those "I'm so gentle and kind, ooh, I love pastel colors and flower crowns, ooh" types, who went on to date a friend of mine. This friend goes on to tell me they broke up because he admitted to getting sexual with his dog on multiple occasions and asked if my friend wanted to watch him jack off that dog on Skype call. I was like, shit dude, I just broke up with him because he was fucking annoying. There was a story about a guy being a serial date rapist, as in, he often went out to clubs, bars, etc., drugged girls and raped them. As it turned out, one of my friend knew the rapist and also knew that he'd been doing it for at least 2 years. He also blamed a few girls for it. Made me a bit repulsed by that friend, to be honest. Police would be involved if I found out something like that. Some of the girls tried to press charges before, but he was never arrested because they couldn't find any proof. He was finally caught when he tried to rape a girl he didn't drug. Someone I knew told me that he wants the age of consent lowered, and how pedophiles are discriminated against in today's society. Complete game changer. As a kid, I found out my friend had lied to me and the whole school, saying that he had trained real Pokemons and that he flies on the Nimbus cloud. Broke my heart as a kid, not because he lied but because I really wanted to fly on the Nimbus cloud. Rough childhood. It has been over 15 years now. I am proud that I can now talk about it without getting emotional. My boyfriend years ago told me he was abused as a kid by his gay uncle, his actual uncle's partner, yet saw him as usual because he didn't want it to affect the family, and I had to be nice. A few months after he told me, he got drunk and in an argument with his dad yells it so everyone could hear. We broke up not long after. Last I heard, his dad was looking for blood and the ex-uncle was in jail. My girlfriend was abused by some of her family members, but she refuses to say anything about it as it will destroy the family. I hate going to her family's social events because I then meet the people who abused and I have to be nice to them even though I want to strangle the fuck out of them. I don't know how my girlfriend does it as well. As a kid I used to spend a lot of time playing computer games with my neighbor. One day I caught him pressing the caps lock key each time he wanted to capitalize a letter. Told him the shift key did the same job, which led him to a 15-minute tirade about how the caps lock button was better. We've drifted apart since. Had a friend who hung out with 2 friends who were girls, and he was male. All went well according to him, but the girls told me he said, "It's getting hot," and proceeded to take off his shirt and masturbate and finish into a cup, got all sweaty, then just left. Couldn't look this man in the eye ever again and cut off all contact. There was this one girl I'd known for a long time but wasn't massively close to, who we all thought was being terribly controlled by her boyfriend. She would tell us that he decided when you was allowed to drink, when she was allowed to go out, what she was allowed to do, etc., and that he hid things around the house, and that he had started to impose bedtimes for her, and shout at her over what seemed like extremely minor things. We all thought he was awful and encouraged her to leave. Then she moved in with me and I realized she was extremely emotionally unstable and an alcoholic. Within months, I found myself wanting to do, or in some cases actually doing, all the things she said her controlling boyfriend had done. I remember one time, after trying to remain patient with her for a while, she said one thing that was relatively minor, and it was the last straw. I just snapped and screamed at her. I then got phone calls from all our mutual friends to talk about my behavior and anger management, presumably as a result of the story being told back to them in a somewhat biased way. So, in a way, her secret changed my opinion of him. My best friend's brother-in-law kept getting sore throats, for months. His normally soft-spoken mother, fed up by this time, screamed at him in front of a full house, "What do you expect if you keep eating that dirty pussy?" Later that day I found out that both he and his girlfriend were dirtballs. He showered about once a month and she would only wash her face, hands, and feet. They are both very attractive, educated, athletic, church-going people, and all I can think of is your pussy is so rotten it's contagious. What changed your perspective on someone? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.